Okay, so I'm going to be talking about converting between exponents to radicals. We know what exponents are. Radicals are this little root sign here. That means radical. And I want you guys to be able to go back and forth between an exponent and a radical. So I'm on page 6 of our packet, so if you guys can turn to page 6. Now, looking at this exponent, notice that the bottom of my fraction is the number that is in this little root here. So the bottom of my fraction becomes the root, and the numerator of my fraction stays inside of the radical. So the terminology I want you guys to get used to using here, the radicand is that base value inside of your radical. The power, or the exponent, is what I want you to call the numerator here. And then the root is going to be on the outside of our radical sign here. So let's go through these 4 examples together. So I want you guys, if it's an exponent, change it to a radical. If it's a radical, change it to an exponent. So I start with my exponent here. So I'm going to write my little radical sign to get ready. I know that I'm going to have one of the numbers here as the root. And I know my radicand is x, this main base value, x. So the trick is, I want you guys to get in the habit of circling the denominator. The denominator will always be the root. So circle the root, circle the denominator, and you put it as your root. Everything that's left, which is the 3 on top, stays on the x. So now let's look at this one. Now let's look at my exponent. My exponent here is just 2. Well, that doesn't make sense because here I add a denominator. So now what do? Remember, we can always write this as 2 over 1. So I can circle my denominator, write my radical. I'm going to have x plus 3 inside my radical. The 1 is going to go here, and then the square goes inside the radical. So I circled my denominator and I wrote it as the root. Now number 3 is the opposite, right? So it goes from a radical to an exponent. So I'm going to circle the root. So the root is going to be the denominator of my exponent. So I put my b. I'm going to have a fraction here. So what I circle, that was the denominator on the bottom. So 7. And then what's remaining on the b is the 4. So now, in this example, I have my radical, so I want to change it to an exponent. I have b and x. Now, my root is 3. So that means I'm going to have 3 on the bottom of each of these exponents. And then my numerators are here. So b, I'm going to have 3 here, and then x is going to have 7. And I can go a step further and reduce this, because b to the 3 over 3, well, we know that I can reduce that fraction. 3 over 3 is just 1. And b to the first power, we know, is just b. So this would be b to the x and to the 7 over 3.